I bought a home in 2006. Anyone remember what 2006 was like? This is the worst and stupidest time to buy a home ever, 2006. But we wanted our kids to be in a certain school, and so this home was, and we went in the home, and then the county changed, and our kids couldn't go to that school. It was a mess. The home was poorly built. Everything was breaking. Everything was falling apart. After about a year, my water heater started leaking into my garage. I had the cheapest little plastic valve on the end of the water heater. I think I got a picture of the exact one. It just started leaking, and my wife, who is a really smart person, said to me, call a plumber. And I said, I'm not gonna call any plumber. I'm not spending money on a plumber. Does any dad know what I'm talking about? I'm gonna use the Google machine and the interwebs, and I will be my own plumber. Some dad power right there, right? So I looked on the interweb, and it said there's several steps to it. First of all, you hook a hose to the valve. You run the hose to your backyard. Then you get up on top of the thing, and you turn the water that goes into the water heater off. And then you go down back to that valve, and you open it all up. It drains into your backyard. When it's done draining your backyard, you take the plastic valve out. You put the replacement valve in. I went and bought the replacement valve. I bought a good, nice metal one. I hooked the hose up to it. I ran it in my backyard. I turned the water going in off. Then I turned the valve open. It started draining, just like the interweb told me. After about an hour or so, it stopped draining. I'm like, great. I have taken the water heater and I have drained it. I even knocked on the water heater because I am so experienced at what the sound of an empty water heater is. I was like, done the job. So I took the pipe wrench and I turned that little valve a quarter turn, and that thing shot across the garage, and all the water started pouring out onto the garage floor, and I had 2 empty Target storage containers you know what I'm talking about, those 2 empty ones that are always in your garage? And so I started going, the thing just needs a little bit more draining. So I started filling this one up, and I called to my wife, and I gave it to her, and I filled this one up, and she brought the other one up, and we're doing this fireman's carry thing, and I'm kind of panicking. I'm like, there's a lot of water left in here, and my 14-year-old boy walks into the garage. He's looking at the water. He's looking at me. He says, Dad, you didn't turn that valve off correctly. You're never going to drain all that out. And I said, would you for once not be a know-it-all 14-year-old and just help? Look how hard your mom's working right now. Can we just get a little support in here? And so we argue about it for a couple of minutes, and at that point, my landscaper was that 14-year-old boy. So he was familiar with the front yard and mowing it. He knew where the whole house water off was. So he walks out there, opens up the lid, puts his hand under, turns the water off to the whole house, and 3 minutes later, the water heater stopped draining. He comes back in, he's looking at me. I said, okay. So we were both right then. What a wretched man am I. What I love about dads is we know we're flawed. We know we're flawed. We know we're not perfect all the time. And I want to tell you, there's great health, there's great mental health in getting to this confession that I'm wretched. There's even encouragement in it. There's a relief in having to not pretend I'm perfect. This word wretched in the Greek just means affected, infected. It means I'm deeply influenced. I've caught the brokenness of this world. There are some dads out there and their kids are perfect and their grandkids are perfect and their life is perfect. But I can't tell you with how many dads I've met with during this COVID season. They're like, Kurt, I'm so proud of my children. I love my children so much. But I'm not always proud of my parenting. I had a dad, it was just last week, he told me, he said, Kurt, I just don't know how to help them. I think what happens in our world is we get caught in this comparison thing, and it seems like everyone else is doing better than we're doing, or we get caught in this anxiety thing. It seems like the direction and flow and influence of our world is getting so broken. We're just like, man, our kids are gonna be affected, so there's so much brokenness, and I feel powerless to stop it. I just want to encourage you with one thing. Maybe telling you you're the world's best dad is not the encouragement I can give you. Maybe what you really need to hear this. In all those fears, all those anxieties, all those regrets, in all that comparison, you're not alone. And this confession that I'm affected deeply by the brokenness in me and in this world, this confession, it's the step right before true freedom. This is what you need to say to find freedom. That old cliche to give in and give up to get God.